Hi again, it's me, Cinnamon. I'm a 24-year-old working a corporate job who loves all things personal finance, especially budgeting, and today I'll be recapping my spending for the first half of the year to see how I am tracking against my budget plan. So the tool I'll be using for all my tracking related stuff is You Need a Budget, or YNAB for short. Most people just call it YNAB. And the tool I will be using for my budget planning is just Google Sheets, because YNAB intentionally doesn't support forecasting. So let's get into Google Sheets. Just to recap the plan briefly, I first start by figuring out what I expect my gross income to be, and I only focus on the cash components of my gross income because I also get paid in stock components, but those values are really volatile throughout the year, the same way the stock market is volatile, so it's a little too stressful to plan around. So right now I just focus on the cash components. And for me, that includes my base salary and my signing bonus. And this was what I had thought I would be making in the year, $189,000 about. And off of that income, I would be paying $57,000 in taxes. And that would round to a net income of about $130,000. From that net income number, I try to figure out the percentage of my income that can go towards savings and the percentage that can go towards my personal expenses. My personal expenses are a must to me, so I really need to nail that number. I look at what I call my core monthly expenses first, which includes like my sort of mandatory expenses like my rent, but also things that I know I'm going to spend money on that aren't fixed, of course, like food and also like hanging out with people. And I also built some buffers into this number. First, an inflation buffer, and then also a discretionary spending buffer that allows me to change and up the amounts going into each of these categories on a monthly basis, like in a really flexible way, because I know I can't foresee the future, and some of these categories will be really high one month, really low another. All in, my monthly expenses come out to $3,600 a month, or $43,200 a year. I also then figure out what non-monthly things or bigger ticket items that are going to be part of my year, and I just list them out, and I just like list them out freely. Those I decide I'm going to create sinking funds for, and I total up how much is going to need to go into my sinking funds. And if I did everything I planned on doing in the year, I'd be putting $23,700 into my sinking funds. So then I think about a few different scenarios of, if I spend this much in personal expenses, how much will I be able to save, and see how I can make those scenarios work. I finally settled on trying to spend only $52,000 a year and save $78,000 a year, which would give me about a 60% savings rate. Because I decided to only spend $52,000 this year, I had to cut some sinking funds out, and I decided and settled on the ones in Bolt. So, like I did mention, I also get a non-cash component to my compensation. And when I was making this plan in 2023, I was expecting my stock payout to be about $24,000, which is what it would be if I got paid out exactly what was on my offer letter. After taxes, that payout would be about $12,000, which is how I came to a goal of saving $90,000 this year. And then I also thought I want to increase my income and make some money outside of my job, which could lead to me investing an extra $10,000 or so this year. So I gave myself a range goal from $90,000 to $100,000. Okay, so that is it for the plan. And this is just a plan. Some things are not going as planned, but we will get to that when I talk about my milestones. So, starting with my income milestone, basically all of these numbers are just like the target number divided by 2, because if I was on track for that target, I would be halfway there, halfway into the year. But again, this isn't a perfect way to do things because some of these things are not normalized throughout the year, but I was expecting them to be normalized throughout the year. So actually, to get my income figure, I'm going to go to this income versus expense page, and here are all my income sources totaled up throughout the year. And in total, they come out to $99,988.38. But I don't consider all of these income sources in my plan. I only consider these two, which cover the cash components from my W-2 job. And they add up to about $96,000. So that means I am on track for this goal. So while I'm on track for Q2, I'm expecting to not be on track for Q3 because basically I'm done being paid out my signing bonus and I was expecting to get a promotion to bump me back to the amount of pay I was getting from my base salary and my signing bonus, but I didn't get that promotion in Q2, so in Q3 I'll actually be seeing my income drop. And in my next video, I'll be budgeting with that lower paycheck, so we'll see what ends up happening with that and how far from my goals I should be expecting to be going forward. Next, I'm going to get into my taxes. So I paid $29,651 so far in taxes. I actually need to go ahead. I have a bunch of subcategories that inform these larger categories. And one of my taxes subcategory is for taxes I paid in 2024 towards 2023. So I actually need to remove that category. And you can see I paid $29,483 in taxes. So I am ahead on my taxes goal. And this is really good because when I was doing this tax planning, I was using 2023 brackets and those are lower than 2024 brackets. So I'm actually going to be paying less in 2024 tax wise, but I haven't updated these numbers to use 2024 brackets yet. So the fact that I'm ahead using 2023 brackets just makes me feel like I'm in a pretty good place tax wise, but I definitely should recalculate just to be certain because anything can happen with the new tax law. So I do need to double check that. But it's good to already see that I'm not going to be in the same position I was last year where I just kind of got lucky that my state refund matched what I owed in federal, but I owed like over $1,000 in federal. So actually click and make sure, looking here, all of my subcategories are on track. And comparing these numbers, yeah, everything looks like halfway. So that is actually really good. Yep, that's really good. Next, I'm going to actually look at my investments because that is easy to compare since I have only one high-level category group covering my investments. And you can see I'm at $42,000 for my investments. So I'm going to put that in bold and we can look at the breakdown of that. Lastly, my spending categories, and just to make this easier to see, I'm going to get rid of my tax and investing categories. And you can see that I have spent $25,982.84, which is slightly under my goal of $26,000. So that is crazy. Something I actually should factor in is that I do not consider my phone bill and my commuting expenses towards my personal spending because I do get that reimbursed from work, as you can see here, or here actually, and so that brings me down slightly to $24,282. And from my monthly expenses, most of that is rent. My rent is $1,700 a month. And so that comes out to $10,200 for the first half of the year. And I don't live alone now. I have 3 roommates. So yeah. Okay, next, eating out. Not unexpected, $1,300. And I feel really good about this, honestly, because my eating out used to be so bad. It is spread out across a few categories, like social activities often involves eating out. I'm actually really happy to see how high this is though, because I don't mind eating out to socialize, and I'm just like happy to see how social I've been this year. And groceries at $888. If this was my only food expense, I'd be doing so well on my budget. But when I look at everything, I just like, this is so insignificant to my rent. And it's like not very significant even to like the dent it would make in my investing. So I don't want to stress myself out about it too much. I feel like I've made very good progress, and I just want to kind of take this win for myself because all in, when I look at these three categories, they add up to less than $3,600. So that means I am spending under my $600 food goal, which I had here. So that is really good to me. And again, that considers like social stuff where I'm paying for other people's food and all of that too. So I'm pleased. I'm pleased. Everything else is very small, very negligible to me. Transportation is crazy small this year in a very distorted way because my boyfriend drives me almost everywhere. And only $395 on clothing and aesthetic stuff, which is crazy to me because that was a very problem category for me, like growing up. And it's like bittersweet. Why? So I feel like I haven't had time to really care about that stuff. But I also know I also feel mentally freer from caring, so bittersweet. Okay, for my rest of my spending, that has been in my sinking funds. Let's start with the specific ones. So some of the stuff I had planned, like this New York City trip, was supposed to be part of this like family vacation stuff that I thought was canceled, and then it ended up happening. So this, fine. Mexico for $933, completely out of left field. And I don't regret going because I'm actually surprised it did add up to about $900. A huge reason for this being as cheap as it is because my $500 flight was covered by my credit card points. So in that way, yeah, I kind of regret going. Like I feel like it was too much money and just not a part of my plan. But a huge reason why I regret going is that I got super sick. I went to a charity ball for $862. And I also went to Miami for $534. And this was my favorite trip. I got the most out of this trip because I went to Miami for a plastic surgery consultation. And I think that man's going to be my doctor. He was very neat. He was very detail oriented. We were like speaking the same language. Like we were very connected, you know? So we'll see though. And lastly, my favorite purchase of the year is me buying a domain for my business that I'll be starting. And yeah, that's really good. Just seeing that I'm working towards all the things I want. And I got exactly the domain name I want for exactly the business I wanted. Like the business name I wanted, because it is a little bit of a unique name, but I was not expecting to get the .com. Very impressed. And lastly, for my general sinking funds, oh god, what happened here? Okay, $2,142.56. That's my family giving category. So just gave money to my mom for her birthday. Bought my dad's flight to the US for his birthday. What else? Made a donation to like a charity thing my mom was doing. Buying food for my mom here and there. 700, let's go back and get this number. $769 on other social things. A lot of this was spending for my birthday party. And what else? Oh, and I took my boyfriend out to dinner for his birthday party and like bought him some other stuff. So how this feels different from other social things is that it's just more so things that I'm expecting to happen that I have foresight into. Like I know my birthday is going to happen. I know my boyfriend's birthday is going to happen. My parents' birthdays are going to happen. So I can get a better guesstimate at the beginning of the year compared to like some months I'm going to go out to dinner with my friends more, and that's just like a monthly variance thing. Hopefully that makes sense on why I categorize them differently. Let's see what else is going on. Main thing spent here is $395 towards that travel credit card, which is effectively towards that Mexico trip. What else? Main thing here is that I spent $275 on my yearly gym membership. And this, oh, I guess my annual fee shows up in July. And I also got a small dental procedure to get like, it's called a lip tie. It connects your lip to your like gums. I got it cut off. I was regretting it 100%. It was so terrible when I got it, but now that I'm healed, I'm happy with it. And $100 towards that surgery consultation. Last few things, buying a K-pop album and a new phone case. I had the same phone case since 2017. I got it for $5 at Five Below. It's like one of my favorite purchases ever. Anyone? Okay, that is all of my spending. Getting out of the spending world a little bit. I'm a little too close to comfort from that, but getting out of the spending world, something that's gonna make me feel better, is looking at how much money I've made in the market. So let's go to my net worth. Let's update these dates. So I'm only going to look at these dates. So the end of July. Okay, and let's look only at my investments. So actually, let's call this out before I move. My net worth has grown $69,980 in 6 months, which is crazy. The market has clearly been doing very well, but actually, now the tide is turning. So I'm interested in seeing what like negative market growth for a quarter will look like. All of that will be part of the Q3 update, and I just feel like Q3 is going to be crazy already. So let's focus on my investments. Now, just looking at investments again, because my cash on hand stays pretty stable, I've seen investment growth pretty close to what I saw of overall growth of $67,037. And let's take this number, put it into my spreadsheet, and let's go back to my investing category. I have so many categories. It doesn't feel that bad when I'm in my budget because I get to collapse things. So this is how much I invested. Oops. And that means for the first 2 quarters, 6 months of the year, the amount my net worth has grown that hasn't been due to my own contributions has been $24,971.05, almost $25,000. That is pretty crazy given the size of my portfolio. Like, it's about 10% growth in over 10% growth in 6 months. And it's even more than 10% because, and this is like really tricky math to do, the portfolio like wasn't at a stable 23,000. So at some points, like, you know, if you compare it to this point versus this point versus this point, I'm sure we need to do some sort of integration. I'm not going to do that. It's not that deep for me. But again, that is just like unusually good performance, right? But let's just start looking at what's been happening in Q3. Things are definitely going down, and trust me on this because I've been putting money back into the market. Like, this jump here is from contributions I made. So things are definitely going down, and we're just gonna have to see how long it lasts. And again, this big bump here is from my stock payout. So yeah, Q3 will be interesting. The last note I wanted to end on, and I did look at this a little bit before I filmed, and I was just like looking at it because I feel like this year is not going as planned. I know Q2 looks like it's going as planned, but it is just a quarter that is foreshadowing a lot of not great things. And I think I talked about those throughout. And I'm just like, oh my God, I need to set different financial goals because things aren't going as planned. I haven't been doing the right things financially because now I'm in a tougher spot than I expected myself to be in and all of these things. And then I look back at my goals, right? Saving and investing 90 to 100,000, that's not really a goal because it is a natural consequence of what's going to happen if I follow my plan. All of the numbers feed into one another. So this goal was just a natural consequence of the plan. It wasn't something that required active work from me. If I followed the plan, this goal would happen. The two goals that required active work for me were increasing my W 2 income and increasing my non W 2 income. And those were still the right things to do. But my problem and the reason why I'm in the predicament I'm in now is because I set these goals, but I didn't start working on them early enough. I haven't worked on any of these goals for the first 2 quarters. So it makes sense that I'm now in the last half of the year and it feels like crunch time. And I guess that is kind of something I wanted to talk about because I am a planner. I love planning. Like, making the plan is the fun part for me. Doing the work, that is like the part that's like, are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? How dare you ask me to do that, you know? Making a plan is so beautiful and you get to like indulge so much when you make a plan. You almost get the satisfaction as if you already did the thing when you make the plan. But I need to be committed to sticking to the plan. Something that I'm thinking about with wine apple pot is there's a principle of rolling with the punches. I get that it's a good principle because things do come up, but I feel like sometimes, and this is really like me just reflecting on my actions, I'm not really rolling with the punches. I'm letting the wind just blow me around anywhere, you know? It's like one thing if you get a situation that is an actual like punch to the face and you have to make a financial call. It's another thing if something just comes up on a whim and you start like going with it. And I think I need to get out of the mindset of rolling with the punches and focus on the mindset of sticking to the plan. I'm looking at my plans and I'm like, all of these plans are amazing. Like, I still need to get my driver's license. I knew this November of 2023. I have not stepped foot behind the wheel. I haven't stepped foot behind the wheel once this year. I need to stick to the plan. Like, I need to prioritize getting my driver's license. I made this whole video like, should I go to Korea? Should I not go to Korea? And it's like, girl, stick to the plan. Korea's in the plan. 2023, when you're in your right mind, you know, before all of these things that look like punches were coming your way, you knew that if this group ever toured, you had to be there. You knew that. So why are you now like doubting whether you should be there? Stick to the plan. The fact that this has been written in my plan, shared in videos from 2023, and I'm like doubting what I should do is why I feel like I'm getting myself in situations constantly. Stick to the plan. Mexico wasn't part of my plan. And I think that's a huge reason why I don't have that like real satisfaction from going because it wasn't something I was really planning on doing. I just like went on a whim and it was fine, but it wasn't part of the plan. One of my favorite things that I did this year was going to Miami to work towards my surgery plan. I feel like a huge reason why that I look back on that with such fondness is because that was part of me sticking to my plan. I'm such a good planner, and I'm not doing myself justice when I start rolling with the punches. And I'm putting punches in air quotes because I'm not having punches. Like, I'm perceiving things that are minor inconveniences as punches. Stick to the plan. That is like my motto for the next half of the year. It's sticking to this plan. Everything I'm doing going forward is focused on going to Korea, getting my driver's license, finalizing stuff for surgery, which is actually something I have not thought about like so much yet. So I need to start again working towards that, getting a new job, and building my business. That's it. I know what I want to do. I just need to do those things, you know? So yeah, that's just something like I want to throw out there. Like, are you setting plans? Are you making goals, but just like not sticking with them? Like, truly revisit your goals and think about what would I need to do to stick to this plan instead of thinking like maybe you need new goals. Genuinely think about like how can I do everything to stick to the plan I laid out for myself and get myself to the state of life that I want to be. Because when I was thinking clearly, I had a very clear vision of what I want my life to look like. And I feel like I just reinvented the wheel on this, but I wouldn't have needed to do that if I visited this plan all the time. So that is something I'm gonna do actually, like visit my plans more. Even with my budget, I cheat so much. Like I don't spend enough in skill development. I put $90, but I don't spend $90 there. And it's like, what would it look like if I followed this? Okay, that would mean I'm buying things that improve my skills. Maybe the fact that I'm constantly underspending in this category is a sign that I'm not living in alignment with my goal for myself, which is improving my skills. Stuff like that, I'm calling out to myself, even with aesthetic expenses. Like, yes, it's great that I'm under budget there, but that's not fully in alignment with my goals. My goal isn't just to spend the least amount of money possible. My goal is to be strategically investing in the right categories for my life. So these two categories, I need to start building them up. I need to start building them up like crazy. Like crazy. Investing my skills is going crazy. I am doing that a lot more now, but still leaning on free resources. But again, I need to start opening my mind up to what would it look like if I paid to invest in my skills. Aesthetics, I don't need to like cut so many corners in like how I dress. Maybe I do just start dressing better. I feel nervous about that because I feel like I'll get back into my shopaholic tendencies. And honestly, every time I do want to buy something, it starts at $300. But this category is built up now. Maybe I do splurge in this and live in alignment with my plan. No more underspending in some categories. Am I spending enough on my health? $120. What can I be doing more for my health? And once I start spending more in the right categories, there just isn't going to be anything left to spend in things that are taking me away from my plan. So that is my goal going forward. Just respecting the plan more because the plan is good. I'm such a good planner. Very disorganized thoughts ending this video. I just want to go back to doing the plan like whenever I feel so anxious about my life, I think like, oh, what's gonna make me feel better? What's gonna make me feel better? I feel like before I used to think there was something I could spend on that would make me feel better, and not just like buying a food item or buying a clothing item, buying like a skincare product, whatever. But it never was that. The only thing for me that makes me feel better when I'm stressed is doing what I need to do. It's doing the thing that I'm usually avoiding because I'm kind of avoidant. um, Diving headfirst into whatever is stressing me out and handling it. So that is the rest of 2024. Okay, let me know how your plans are going. If you are reevaluating things, if you are realizing that you need to actually be recommitting to what you've already decided for yourself, let me know. Hopefully, guys, we are all going after like our goals, financial or otherwise, because I feel like your financial goals really are meant to like complement your life goals. That's how I think about it. Like all of my financial goals complement a life goal. And I need to also come on here and tell you about the whole vision for my life. Um, that is why I need $3 million in like 4 years. We need to talk about that. We need to talk about that. That's gonna be like a real bestie level chat. Okay, I'm letting you guys into my insane mind. We need to talk about it though, because the life goals matter, and unfortunately, fortunately, depending on whatever side you're on, they require money. So yeah, I'm just rambling now, but I don't understand why, because I need to get back to work. I need to get back to the goals. Anyway, goodbye, guys.